It is a challenge. One of the challenges that all notion of regulated learning, monitoring of their own learning, is they're not used to doing things. So you have to actually create structure. Today we have with us Dr. Joseph Ritzen, the President of Empower European Universities Foundation. He has also been the Vice President of World Bank's Human Development Department, one of the world's longest serving education minister at Netherlands. He started a series of major education reforms in the Dutch education system. Today we are going to talk to him about a very pertinent subject, which is preparing students for the modern labor market. Welcome to Interview of the Month, Dr. Joseph.
Great pleasure to be here.
First of all, an important question. The labor market has gone through a sea of change over the past 1 decade. The students don't only have to have a high GPA, high marks in their subjects. They also need to have cognitive skills, attitudinal skills, as well as problem solving and creativity. That's what employers are looking for. So how do you explain the demands of the new labor market?
I think you put it very correctly. So we have lots and lots of information about what is needed on the labor market for people to do well for their boss, for the firm in which they are employed, or for themselves, and also indeed how that translates in the way in which people are being trained. So what is particularly important is that you think for yourself, that you are the one who brings new things in the firm. You are the one who devises your own environment, and not anymore that you ask the boss, what should I do today? You're the one who makes your own work.
Also, effective communication and ability to work in a team are skills that employers are very seriously looking for in fresh graduates. So do you think universities should put a lot of emphasis on these skills as well?
Not a lot, far more than they do now. In a way, we still look, as you mentioned, at cognitive achievement, grading, learning the job, while the employer, but also the self-employed person, knows that it's important to be flexible, to work with others. I've never achieved anything in my life only on my own. You always have to do it jointly with other people, and that means also communicating well with people. But flexibility is also something which is important. And now, just look at what happens at university. So you get a grade, you get a degree because you have done well in the subjects, not because you do well in terms of working with others or you do well in terms of problem solving. So that is something which universities should really very much now make part of their own reality.
Like you said, the employer of the 21st century does not want his employee to be working only according to a fixed protocol. He wants him to be a problem solver, entrepreneurial, and be an innovator. So do you think the universities today need to rethink or overhaul their current curricula, or maybe engage in constructive destruction of the current curricula, redesign it altogether?
I like very much the way in which you put it as indeed maybe also destructive innovation. I think we in education quite often are too much inclined to think that education is something which we did in the Middle Ages and that we know how to do that and that we will continue to do it in exactly the same way. No, I think in terms of the way in which we teach and what we teach, we should change entirely. And the problem is here that it's not as much a market in the sense that there is the strong drive from the outside in making those changes. So it has to come from the inside. So teachers themselves, the leadership in universities should take this on, should reflect on it, and indeed bring about these changes for the benefit of the students.
So, like you said, an employee has to be innovative. So, will it be right to say that if a person has a routine job and he is doing a fixed kind of a job, he is not safe? He should rather be looking all the time to acquire new skills, maybe prepare for the next job.
In a way, you're putting it very stark, and this is not something which is for Saudi Arabia. This is for the whole world, and so we are making very much a point of this in Europe, that universities should be aware of the fact that the routine jobs are disappearing. And so what happens is it goes in two directions. It goes in the direction of the high-skilled, non-routine, or the low-skilled, non-routine, the service jobs. You don't want to be at that end of the service jobs which are low routine. The idea still is of many of the university professors that are all jobs in banking, for example, which are routine, that they stay there. We know that in the predictions, something like 30% of the jobs in banking in Europe are going to disappear because they are routine jobs. They are well-trained people, but they are routine jobs. They have to learn something different, and particularly have to continue in their learning. So important also that you learn already in your studies that there's a future in which you will have to continue to learn.
So, this is a practice that we see, and would you appreciate it that maybe a lot of students do part-time work as they study? It's a kind of dual learning for them. So is this what you are suggesting, that maybe they should be preparing for themselves for the jobs as well in the market as they study?
Yes, I think that's if you can have the combination of work which is related to your studies and the studies themselves, that's ideal. I mean, it makes it so much more interesting to study because you know what you are doing it for, you can see it in practice, and at the same time it also brings you in some money, and it brings you also in this attitude that what you're learning has to be applied in a specific setting, and it's not one-to-one. It's not something in which you just can say from, I know this, so let's get started. No, you have to look at the world around you, translate that into the kinds of problems which you can solve and where you can make a contribution. Now, all of these things worldwide, but particularly a challenge for a country like Saudi Arabia, which in so many respects has been spoiled, you might say, by the affluence of the oil, but that's going to be different from 2020 onwards. Then there will be far more need for new ways of developing the economy. Of course, oil will be there for a long time, but not as much in terms of growth as it has been in the past.
So what is your prescription for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is trying to transform its economy from petroleum-based to a knowledge-based economy?
Well, I think the secret is indeed within the education system. I think the education system can deliver. Maybe it needs to be a bit brought in, like I've seen in the United Arab Emirates, in a vision of where the new employment is going to arise. But at the same time, in education you can provide the kinds of skills which lead to entrepreneurship. Now, the point here is also that entrepreneurship is not something which you choose if there are easy other jobs which are equally well paid. So in that respect, also from the side of education, stimulate the notions of entrepreneurship, whether it's in the private sector, whether it's self-employed entrepreneurship, or whether it's in a firm. Of course, here at the meeting, the chairperson from SABIC also said we need entrepreneurs within our firms. So entrepreneurship is everywhere, and the real good graduate who earns a good wage, also for himself up to the period of 2050, 2060, is the problem solver, the entrepreneurial graduate.
Great, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Joseph Ritzen. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. It is a challenge. One of the challenges that all notions of regulated learning